Johnny Cash.
And you're listening to WOOPLP, Cleveland, Tennessee. WOOP FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
At Buy Here, Pay Here USA, we don't just sell cars, we buy them. Bring your car, truck, or SUV down to Buy Here, Pay Here USA, and we'll give you a free appraisal with no obligation. We pay top dollar for most cars, so before you trade in your vehicle, come see us for an appraisal. At Buy Here, Pay Here USA, we pay the most for your car. Visit Buy Here, Pay Here USA in Cleveland, Dayton, or Chattanooga, or go to buyheresellhere.com. That's buyheresellhere.com. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
Are the holidays stressing you out? I can help. Wrap up your gift shopping at the $5 fashion jewelry sale at U.S. Money Shops in Cleveland, Tennessee. All pieces.
Good morning, Bradley County, Cleveland City. Coach Schriver here on our morning show. Hope you're doing well. Had a good weekend. The temperature this morning is about 23, 24. It's supposed to be 25 tonight, but tomorrow night's the time you better get those long johns out again. We're going to have 31 in the morning, and then, or 31 is the high tomorrow, and then 10 tomorrow night, folks. The rest of the week looks like it's going to be a little chilly. So winter is definitely not over. Middle of the January here. We're halfway through. But today, Monday, Martin Luther King Day. A lot of good stuff going on here today. Got a special guest coming in, Mr. Avery Johnson, our vice mayor. Be coming in and talking to us about Martin Luther King and 100 black men and all the things that are going on today in the community. Saw my friend James McKissick yesterday on the TV in Chattanooga, and he was talking about how they were doing like 50 different service projects down there today and all that. James has been a big organizer down there, doing a great job. So anyway, when Avery gets here, we'll be talking about that. Want to remind you again, forgot to tell you that this is Coach Schriver on the morning show here, in case you didn't know. WOOP FM 99.9. Want to see us on the radio? Go to the internet, whoopfm.com, and click on live, and you'll be able to watch us there. You actually see us, folks. And we can actually wave to you, give you a thumbs up, everything. Also got my sidekick in here, Mr. Casta. He's here, Tom Casta. Just got a call from his dad up in Richmond, Virginia. And he caught us just before we came on the air. Said they're going to get about 3-4 inches of snow maybe on Tuesday and Wednesday. Also, they're calling for the possibilities of snow here tomorrow, and I guess we'll find out for sure. I always like to say I'll believe it when I see it. And so anyway, I was thinking maybe that since tomorrow we don't have a regular guest coming in, so in case for some reason that tomorrow you don't hear us at 7 o'clock, that means that we couldn't get to work, couldn't get in here. So, but I don't think that's going to be the problem. According to what I understand, it's a situation where it shouldn't start until about mid-morning, so I don't think that's going to be a big problem. And again, like I said, we got to be sure that it's even coming. So we'll see what happens there. Everybody's kind of anxious and wanting to see a little snow. Even I like that. Even being from the North Woods, when I had so much snow, I couldn't stand it. And I still like to see one good one every year. So, but again, hope everybody gets their wishes on that too. Again, today is Martin Luther King Day. I don't think there's any schools going on today.
No,
and,
there's not, Coach.
I think the schools are out for that.
Yeah, remember, too, the city offices, county offices.
Oh, yes, that's right. Everything's
closed. Post office, banks, everything's closed today.
Yes. Celebrating his birthday. I will never forget that. Back in 1968, April 4th, when it was, we heard about what happened in Memphis. And won't even give the guy's name the credit for what happened back then. Sad day. Kind of, after we'd had the problem in 63 with President Kennedy getting assassinated, and then 5 years later, Dr. King, and then, of course, we have, it just seemed to go on and on. It's sad. But again, I'll never forget that. I was in Knoxville. That was my junior year in college, and as a matter of fact, that was during baseball season. So there are certain things, how you remember certain things when they happened and all that kind of stuff. And it kind of sticks with you, especially those crucial things. Many of you have heard his I Have a Dream speech, and we may play a part of that here in a little bit. But I tell you what, it's one of the best speeches ever given. And really, if people truly listen to it, there's a lot being said in there for those who give it the time. And so anyway, well, we'll have a lot more on Dr. King, and we'll have, like I said, Mr. Johnson will be here. And we're going to start out with a little, are we doing a...
No, let's start about the question of the day, Coach.
Okay.
Question of the day.
Yeah, question
of the day here.
What is it, Tom?
Question of the day. You got it.
Well, you give it. You tell me.
You've got it there.
1961.
Yeah.
On this day, the Supremes signed a contract. Now, those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, the Supremes, great Motown group, and they signed a contract with a major recording label.
Yep.
Do you know what that label was?
Yeah, what was the label's name?
Yeah. Give us a call, 614-5553. See if there's anything there that you can come up with that'll help you maybe pick up a few coins. Again, 61. This day, Supremes signed a contract with a major record label. What was the record label? Got a couple other good, interesting things here. I thought this is phenomenal. I'm not even sure back in the day if I ever even studied this in history. I always loved history.
All right, here we go back to school now. We got Coach. He's got a history lesson going for us, people.
Yes, look out, man. I wasn't even a history teacher, but this is, I think the thing about this one that is so neat is fact, everybody ought to be interested in it because the story itself is just almost, it was sad, but also, I mean, you talk about humor. Listen to this. The Great Molasses Flood. Now, just think about that. Molasses Flood.
Flood. I get some biscuits.
Purity.
I get some biscuits and butter with that, too.
The Purity Distilling Company had built a gigantic tank in Boston. Now, I always associate Boston with the Tea Party.
Oh.
But now we got something else we can put in there. We call it the Molasses Flood.
Molasses Flood, all right.
North End in 1915 to supply its booze-making operations. It had something to do with alcohol, of course. The steel tank was enormous, 50 feet tall, 90 feet across. Now, that's pretty good size, folks. All right, and capable of holding 2.5 million gallons of molasses. All right? Now, those of you who like molasses, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Noise like a gunfire as the tank's rivets. Now, understand, this is a big tank with a lot of pressure coming in from this molasses. You know how dense it is, and so how thick it is. All right, the rivets popped and the steel sides ripped open. Suddenly, 26 million pounds of molasses were tearing down Commercial Street in a 15-foot wave. Now, think about this.
Hey, can we get some Beach Boys music?
Hey, I guess we ought to. I'd like to see you surfing on molasses. Now, that would be interesting. The wave moved at upwards to 35 miles an hour, folks. Just think about that.
Coach.
Okay? 35. Hell, the cars then didn't go 35 miles an hour. Okay? It ripped, the power was so sufficient it ripped buildings off their foundations. The cleanup effort required over 80,000 man-hours. Locals claim they could still smell the molasses on warm days decades later. Now, folks, that's got to be a story that probably a lot of you haven't heard.
Yeah, now, Coach, too, remember, there's 21 people lost their lives in that, and 150 of them were hurt. So there were some lives lost.
Yeah, it's like any kind of a tragedy. You have, we're not trying to make light of the fact of the death, so I'm just trying to say that it's just something that, it just seems kind of humorous when you think of molasses going down the road. I guess that's kind of like a lot of these floods that we have. When by the time you get all the debris and everything in there, and buildings and homes, and it's flowing, and it takes out. I mean, it just takes out a lot of stuff, and a lot of damage can be done.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's a little tidbit for you. Again, the question of the day. In 1961, on this day, the Supremes signed a contract with this major record label. So,
Coach, a real small point on that. 1975.
Huh?
1975, Space Mountain opened in Disneyland.
Oh.
I think everybody has rode that, and it's still one of the best features there.
I'll never forget my first time on Space Mountain. I'm on there with my daughter when she was probably, she was 6, 7 years old and close to not being able to go. And then my
height requirement?
Yeah.
The height requirement?
My brother-in-law, and as we got just about to get on it, it broke down. We sat there for 2 hours. I know my wife and my youngest were outside with, I'm trying to think, with her parents and stuff. And they wondered, what are you all doing? You know, of course, then we didn't have a cell phone. And we never showed up, but it took them 2 hours to fix it. Then we finally got to ride it. And anyway, that was my first encounter with Space Mountain. I got to say, it was a pretty good thrill, though. I enjoyed it. You been on that?
I have. I've been on it. We were just standing there, like I said, at the end of this year, and I think the wait on it was about almost 4 hours. You were talking about waiting 2 hours. I mean, the wait was 4 hours.
Well, ours was a wait broken down because of a breakdown and stuff. I just can't. See, I just can't handle it. I can't. I'm sorry. My patience is not good enough to wait 4 hours for anything.
Yeah.
Okay?
Now they got lines long enough where they got somebody standing out there with a pole with a thing and saying the line starts here, and it estimates what the time wait is on it.
It's amazing sometimes what's going on there.
Yeah.
You spend all that money to get in there, and if you get on 3 or 4 rides during the day, you're doing lucky if you got to wait that long. So I don't wait for that. I still like It's a Small World. That's my favorite still as far as Disney World.
Yeah. And we talked a little bit about local basketball Friday night and stuff. I got some of local basketball. High school. Bradley splits with Walker Valley on Friday night. The unbeaten Bears battled hard to beat Walker Valley, 50-42.
How about that?
While the Bears trampled over the Mustangs, 51-34.
Well,
the Mustangs beat the Bears.
And I think over the weekend, our wrestling teams, I know Cleveland went up to Virginia and won a tournament up there. I think they had like 7 or 8 champions. Bradley was at the Vendetti in Johnson City. I'm not sure how they fared there. I know they got beat in a duel by Science Hill, who's ranked number 2. Do you have any of that there, Coach? No,
I don't. Okay. I just got the basketball here. Like I said, Mustangs won big over the Bears. Also, the Cleveland Raiders won both their games at Min County.
Yeah.
The Cherokees, the boys won 79-59, and the girls, a little upset there, 59-54. I think the Lady Cherokees were
maybe took them a little lightly.
Yeah, they were wanting to beat that game on that part. Men's basketball in Knoxville, UT, Jordan Bowers scored 15 points on Saturday. Number 24 Tennessee defeated Texas A&M, 75-62. Lady Vols down South Carolina. If everybody saw that yesterday.
Yeah, that was a great game.
86-70.
And they were pretty much in control there. And I understand, folks, South Carolina won the national championship.
But you got to understand too, the big girl for South Carolina is leading score, blocking, and everything. Yeah. She was out.
Oh, okay.
Her ankle, her right ankle, she turned it. So
I understand that, and I am sorry, but we don't make excuses. You know,
and last
you still play the game, and we can't use excuses.
You do. The last thing is Saturday night Lee Flames at Walker Arena. Both of them, they torched Shorter University. I'll say that.
Well, good.
The girls and boys both.
What? Everything's looking good in the community for our athletics and everything. And again, folks, we're here on Coach Schriver in the morning show with my sidekick, Mr. Cassida, and one of our city council members. And our special guest just came in, and we're going to get with Mr. Avery Johnson, our vice mayor, going to give us on this special day in memory of Dr. Martin Luther King and his I Have a Dream speech, and I've been to the mountaintop, and all the good stuff that Dr. King did for us in getting. And as I've said earlier, if you have not heard the I Have a Dream speech in its entirety, now I think it's like 17 to 18 minutes. We're going to show have a little clip on it here in a little bit. But
it's about a 5-minute section on that?
Yeah, it's about a 5-minute section, and we'll run that here in a few minutes. I want to break in. We're going to do one song before we do it. so we can talk with Mr. Johnson before we start into all this stuff. But what one are we doing? A little respect.
No, we're gonna do the Supremes. Who's
Supremes.
the Supremes.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Where is it? I have a. No, it doesn't have it. No. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. Well, but anyway, we're going to get to that, and we'll carry on with that in just a few minutes. Also, we've got to remember that there's a lot of different individuals that were key in the civil rights movement. And remember, today is Civil Rights Day, National Civil Rights Day, again. And so we're going to go into some of that and some of the people who are key in all these things over the years. Of course, everybody remembers Rosa Parks and all other different individuals, Jesse Owens, Jackie Robinson, who broke the barrier for baseball, and some of the trials and tribulations that these people went through in order to try to gain equality in all different types of areas. And were very, very key in those kind of things. But Dr. Martin Luther King is the one that we attribute to getting a lot of this stuff going and the civil rights movement. And so, anyway, we will get into some of that here in a bit. Have we got that up there yet? Can't get it? How about Aretha? Just put Aretha up there. We'll work with Aretha, and then we'll be right back with Mr. Johnson. I think. My control man here is... All right, here we go. A little respect with Aretha. Enjoy it. This lady's one good lady. Welcome back here to Coach Schriver on the morning show here, Whoop FM 99.9. Internet, whoopfm.com. Click on live and see us on the radio. Yeah, look up here. Oh, thumbs up. All right. Actually see us here. We got our special guest with us, Mr. Avery Johnson, our vice mayor, and also a great proponent of the civil rights movement. He was around during all the things that were going on with Dr. Martin Luther King and Abernathy and all the all the different people who were involved. And, of course, those of us were back there, as I mentioned earlier, when I was at UT on April 4th, 1968, when the thing in Memphis happened. It was a sad day. And it's funny how you remember those things, like 5 years later with John Kennedy. And, you know, you just tend for something that's so sad and things like that, you tend to somehow relate what you were doing at that time and bring up those memories, which are not always good memories. But anyway, so what I want to say, Mr. Avery Johnson, welcome.
Good morning.
Good to have you with us, sir.
Thank you, Coach.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to come in, and because this is a pivotal day in all of our lives, and you have to understand that, folks. So this affects all of us. So, you know, the domino effect is there for all of us in all these aspects of things that are going on and how we approach them. And I think that was one of the things that made Dr. King so important and so crucial. You know, a lot of people gave him a lot of hassle, even some of his own people. But the point is, he had a dream, and I think that's why I think that speech, as I've said before, is so crucial. And before we get going here, can we run that clip? Let's run that. This is not the entire speech, folks. The whole speech, I think, was 17 to 18 minutes, his I Have a Dream speech. But there's a little clip. We got a little 5-minute clip here that kind of gives you an idea of what he meant and what he was talking about. And listen to it carefully, because there's a lot of common sense in this and a lot of good stuff.
So even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day, down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted. Every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is a faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, We will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning, my country, tears of thee. Sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. And so let freedom ring. From the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire, let freedom ring. From the mighty mountains of New York, let freedom ring. From the heightening Alleghanies of Pennsylvania, let freedom ring. From the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado, let freedom ring. From the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring. And when this happens, when we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
All right, folks, that was just part of Dr. King's speech. And I tell you what, it was one of the greatest. And there's, like I said, if you listen to the words, and if you get time sometime, pull up the entire speech and listen to it. Because if you take in and listen to what was said during the speech, it's really one of the best, maybe one of the best speeches ever given. And so anyway, again, we have Mr. Avery Johnson with us, our local city vice mayor, and a big proponent of our 100 Black Men, member of our 100 Black Men, and also who's around during those times. I mean, you look at him, he doesn't look to be that old. He looks pretty young to me, but evidently, of course, I was around during that time too. So, again, there's one quote that I always liked that Mr. Avery gave me this, and I was looking at these quotes, and I'm glad he did because I had not seen some of these, but there's one that I always do remember. What matters is not how long you live, but how you live. I think that's so simple right there. Just that says enough right there in a nutshell. It does not matter how long, but how. And so, Mr. Johnson, we are so appreciative of you coming in this morning. This early, I know it's didn't get to get that extra cup of coffee or have a little more conversation with your wife, but hope you're doing well, big guy. Appreciate you coming. And I know this is a very special day for you. And so just kind of give me a little bit of, the feelings that you have about Dr. Martin Luther King.
Oh, it was fantastic. I mean, it was created a lot of hope in the black community when we heard Dr. King's speech, I Have a Dream. I was 20 years old at that particular time, and I was working at Magic Chef, and I was also a member of the NAACP Industry and Labor Committee, so I was active in the community. They started a league in Montgomery, Alabama, and we started a league here in Cleveland called the Citizens Improvement League, which was sort of, following along with what they were doing in Alabama, Mississippi, and everywhere else. We were trying to find justice, trying to find freedom, trying to find equal opportunity. And it was uncomfortable a lot of times, getting out of your comfort zone to make sure that everybody understood that we did want to have the same privileges that everybody else had, especially when it came to equal opportunity and jobs. But it was really exciting in those days, and Dr. King just really, every speech that he gave, I mean, it was just phenomenal.
They were always well attended. It didn't matter where he was. You think about the walk on Washington.
Exactly.
You think back, all the different type things that were going on. And I think, I guess probably as an outsider, someone who wasn't totally directly, of course, at that time, I guess I was young and dumb and all that kind of stuff. But, to see and actually see what we used to see in some of the stuff on TV, the fire hoses, the dogs, all the different type things in some of these atrocities. And it really, really tore at your house. If you had any kind of inside sensitivity or any kind of serious attitude towards life and liberty and just human life, period, it's sad to watch. And, and I guess I didn't at that time really appreciate what the cause was and what people were going through. And I guess that's when we think about Rosa Parks, we think about how strong she had to be to step up. Even to the point where we were talking about the counters, in the restaurants or stores. At that time, it was drugstores.
The sit-ins.
The sit-ins and stuff like that. But anyway, he was, you're right, he was one of the great leaders, and he had so much more to offer. It's sad that his life was cut short, but I think, and again, you always try to look for the positive, even with those kind of sad things, and the fact that it probably enhanced the work to improve and get people more fired up about dealing with that.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, he was an inspiration to all of us, especially in the black community. Yeah. But all over the world, his challenge was to bring freedom and equal opportunity for everybody. And it was nonviolent, even though he incurred a lot of violence and having his house bombed and all kind of things and receiving threats after threats, for the different things that he was trying to accomplish in the way of freedom for everybody.
Well, I think it said a lot about him, too. And that part of it is the fact that he preached nonviolence.
Yes.
And even had, like we said, we talk about people, from his own culture and stuff that weren't always satisfied with how he handled that. There were people who wanted to be violent and people who wanted to destroy things and tear things up. And he seemed to keep the calm and try to keep people to understand that's not going to get us anywhere. We need to try to come together, and that said a lot in itself.
That was the key. And then it impacted Cleveland. I'm here in Cleveland, and all this is going on in Montgomery, Alabama, Mississippi, and across the nation. But what happened in Alabama really impacted Cleveland, and I felt the results of that after the church was bombed in Alabama. They killed the 4 little girls.
That's sad.
And I remember the president of our company that I worked at, he came and called everybody together a couple of weeks after that. And when I went to work at the place that I went to work at, we still had separate water fountains and separate restrooms. And, it was just terrible. Even at the train station here in town, the bus station, I mean, they had everything was segregated. But the president of the company called everybody together and said there won't be any more separate water fountains, no more, separate restrooms, and we all going to be in this thing together.
Yeah.
And
that says a lot, especially at that time. Yeah. So that was a big statement at that time.
Absolutely.
And so I think probably those are the kind of people that we're going to help and make things different and help things try to be equal and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. Did you ever get to yourself to attend or hear any of his speeches personally?
No, I didn't get to hear any of his speeches. But all the people around him, I got to hear them. I got to hear Andrew Young. I got to hear Ralph Abernathy and Jesse Jackson. I've heard him live, and I've heard quite a few of people speak that were around him that was marching with him.
Yeah. Well, Andrew Young was real big in Atlanta, right?
Yes. Yeah,
he was big.
He was.
At the time, he was mayor.
Yeah.
And all the different types of things he did were very, very inspirational to the community and everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we've got we got stuff we can talk about with Dr. King all day long. There's so many things. These quotes. Every now and then, I'm going to give a quote that he came up with. He has several here that Mr. Johnson brought into us, and here's one here I think is, and they're simple. These are not dissertations or anything like this one. Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. Okay? Now, folks, how many times or how much do we talk about the love and loving one another and working with one another and helping one another and respecting one another? And these are all the kind of things that Dr. King was trying to relate to everyone. And when he was talking, a lot of people think that in the day that when he was making these speeches, that he was just talking to the African American community, and I guess at the time we referred to as the black community. But he's talking to everybody. He's trying to talk to everybody who will listen on both sides of the aisle and all that kind of thing. And I'm sorry I said that, because that's not the way it has to be a together type thing if these things are going to work. Anything in particular about Dr. King? I know you have the utmost respect for what he did, who he was, but was there something just really big that stood out about him that just made you real proud?
Oh yeah, I knew that he was especially called to do the work that he did. All he wanted to do was just be a preacher,
Mm-hmm.
He just wanted to be a preacher. But when Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on the bus, and this little league, the improvement league that they had in Montgomery, came together, they asked him to serve as president. And the very fact that he moved over into that category,
Mm-hmm.
and you could see the perfect fit for the person leadership that he had. But his leadership, his ability to speak, was just absolutely, mind-boggling, because he was so...
He did have a talent.
Yeah, he did.
God-given talent.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was anointed. You could tell that he was anointed to do what he was doing. There's so many things about the man that was great, but the fact that he had the leadership ability and the speaking ability,
Well, he had a lot on his shoulders. There was a lot of pressure on him, a lot of pressure on both, from both factions that were against him and for him.
Mm-hmm.
And he tried to withstand all of that and agree, just like anybody, folks, just like anybody in the world, like you, like me, like all of us. We don't always do everything the right way. We don't always make the right choices. We do some things we shouldn't do. And let's just face it, that's human. There's nobody out there perfect, never will be. That's why as Christians, we're sinners. We're sinners on a daily thing, and we have to admit it. And when you can't admit that, then you do have some serious problems. But he was having such great strides in trying to deal with all this and trying to make the country, the world, a better place.
Yeah. Non-violently.
Non-violent. That is so key right there, folks. Yeah. Non-violent. Yeah. At a time when violence was, it seemed like the order. Yeah. It would seem like that's just the way it went. And some of the stuff, the atrocities, folks, if you had to put up with that personally today, think about it. If you had to put up with what happened then today yourself, now just think about it. How would you feel and where would you be in those situations?
Coach, also, he was a Nobel Prize winner also. At age 35, the youngest to receive it, Nobel Peace Prize. And with the money, over $54,000, he gave it back to civil rights to help it also.
He not only, talked the talk, he walked the walk. He did what he felt was best. And, of course, he had a degree from, Boston University, I think, initially. And then I think he went on, I can't remember where he got his doctorate from. I think it was...
he got his doctorate from Boston.
Was that Boston?
Yeah,
okay.
And it was at Morehouse.
Morehouse degree. Okay. All right. But, the man was well-educated. The man, obviously, was a great speaker. And as we said before, it was a God-given talent, and it just came. Just seems like he had the right words and things, trying to talk to all of us. And I think that's... what were some of the other Tom, on that list you had of prominent people, some of our people today might recognize.
You got Jesse Owens.
Yes, Jesse Owens.
During over in Germany.
Yeah.
He won,
the Olympics.
I think, Olympics.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Very great athlete on that part. Yeah. Wendell Scott, the NASCAR race, on that part.
Well, Hank Aaron, of course. Hank Aaron was big, for baseball. Of course, Jackie Robinson was the key.
Breakthrough on that
broke
part.
the barrier, put up with stuff that, and even this, and I even think about
actually on his rookie year, I think it was 39 home runs he hit, and I don't know if he got rookie of the year or not, but he was a very large component of that movement on that part.
Well, I was thinking he got MVP or something in there, even as a. But I think during my time when I was growing up,
Muhammad Ali.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Yeah.
During my time, of course, I was from upstate New York, and Syracuse was a big football school then, and we had Ernie Davis, and we had Jim Brown, and Floyd Little, all these guys that made so many. But Ernie Davis, some of the stuff that they went through, I remember one of the proudest things I remember was they went to play in the Cotton Bowl, I think, in Dallas. I can't remember if it was his sophomore, junior year. But anyway, and they had a dinner for the Cotton Bowl teams. And they had told the coach, was it Schwarzenegger? I can't remember. I can't believe I can't remember his name. But anyway, the point is they told him that everybody could come but him, but Ernie. He couldn't go. Mm-hmm. And the team got together and said, well, if he can't go, we're not going. They went out to some restaurant or something and ate together and all that. Now, that was just another one of those good things where people came together to support and help. And that just shows you there again, folks, hey, put yourself in that place. You're going out with somebody and stuff, and they say, no, you can't come in here. You can't do this. Hey, folks, I'm sorry. How would you feel? And I don't mean to beat that to death, but there's a lot of just so important. If we sometimes put ourselves in a position, that's key. All right, Mr. Johnson, we know 100 Black Men, big program here, and it is a national organization, correct?
Absolutely.
You have any idea how many over the country or world? Or
it's probably about 110, between that, 110, 115
That's
chapters
great. That's
right
great.
now.
I know ours is strong here, has been for a long time. Mm-hmm. Anyway, give us a little things. Are there some particular things going on today in our community that people might be interested in, that you're aware of?
Well, we was going to have the Dream Keepers Award, which is where we recognize all the kids that maintain, I think it's a 3.0 GPA, but they didn't get all that information together, so they postponed the program until February 20th, somewhere like that.
They're still doing that. That's a great program.
Yeah.
And tell what you do for kids as far as scholarships. I think this is one of the best things.
We have one of the best scholarship programs ever. I started the 100 Black Men. I was the first president.
What was the year?
The year was 1992, 93.
Okay.
Yeah, we started the
I
100
remember
Black
when it
Men.
started.
Yeah, and in the beginning, we didn't have our charter from the National, so we had to call ourselves the 100 Men of Action. But we were focused on what the 100 Black Men of America, what they did. And so we started, and we had a lot of members at that time. A lot of people were interested in the chapter, and we got together, and we had, I think we got up to about 48 members at that particular time, because it was new. And what we do in the way of scholarships is we allow kids to get into the scholarship program when they're in the 9th grade. And that's called the accrued scholarship program. And they can earn up to $1,250 every year. I think that has gone up to $1,500 and something dollars right now. They can earn it in the 9th grade, and in the 10th grade, 11th, and the 12th grade. They can still earn that portion of their accrued scholarship. And then if they go on to college, get accepted, then we will award them with a scholarship of $1,850 every year. That they every year while they're in college. So it comes out, I think it's about $15,000 altogether. Each kid can get if they get into the scholarship program in the accrued status. We have right now probably about 8 kids in the accrued, and we probably got about 6 or 8 kids in the scholarship program. where they're already in college and they're earning and making money. What we do, if they do so many hours of community service, then we will allow them to be in the program. They got to maintain a 2.5 GPA. And, I think that's basically about all they have to do is those two things. And then they got to really, stay in touch with us, give us reports whenever we call for them. The scholarship chairman will call for those reports from the kid, and we check on them. And then so far, I've got a report right here that showed that we have 59 kids that's went through the 100 Black Men program and graduated. Now, that was about 7 years ago. We had more of them to graduate all along the line, so we're probably over 60-plus kids that have went through the 100 Black Men Scholarship Program and graduated from college with different degrees.
What a great thing.
Yeah. So it's been a great program, been doing a lot. And also we have a mentoring portion of the 100 Black Men that we mentor young men. Mm-hmm. That's the reason why the organization was started. It was started in New York City by Mayor David Dinkins. Mm-hmm. And 1963, he started it. And it was because they were losing so many young men.
Okay, I know initially it was for the young men.
Yes.
Now, do your scholarships go just to the young men or the ladies?
Oh, no, it goes, both ways. Okay. I mean, actually, probably we have now maybe more young girls in our program than we do young men. Mm-hmm. Probably. We should be.
Well, it's a great great organization doing a lot of good things. And now, when is it you have is the Dream Makers banquet the same as, you have a separate scholarship banquet?
Oh, yes. We have a separate.
When do you usually have that banquet?
It's going to be in March.
In March?
It'll be in March. It'll probably be around the 1st of March, somewhere like that, maybe March 10th. It'll be at Lee University. And
it's good place.
Yeah, it's usually whenever they're on spring break. And we usually go to Lee University.
Tell us a little bit more about the Dream Makers, about what that's doing.
The agreement?
The Dream Makers.
Oh, the Dream Makers.
Yeah.
Well, that was started by the Ministerial Association. Mm-hmm. Recognizing those kids, encouraging them, giving them certificates of, because they worked hard, they did what they were supposed to do in school, and they maintained, and they come out with a 3.0 or better GPA. Right. And we just like to reward those kids for working hard because we realize that it was a challenge for a lot of kids to maintain that and to do that work. But a lot of our kids are able to do it. They can do it. A lot of kids can do it, but they just don't want to do it.
They've got to be encouraged, got to be pushed. They've got to be the expectation, I think, is, setting goals and the fact that you can do it if you want to.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
And all right, now, give us a little background in some of the activities that you have to help make you. I know you have a golf tournament. Any other thing that you all do to help make the funds to help support these kids?
Yeah, we have a golf tournament, but the scholarship, the banquet is where we really come in with the funds because we try to get sponsors. We have in the past, I know the company that I work for, they used to give us $15,000 every year.
Oh, man.
Yeah, every year, Maytag, Whirlpool, and they did that for several years, and they weren't the only one. We had a lot of other companies that came in, and back in the 90s, we had what we call Project 10, 1998, which was 10 kids that's going to be graduating in the year of 1998. And we got sponsors for $5,000, and we matched that, the 100 Black Men. And we had 10 kids, and we give each one of them $2,000, So we have partnered with a lot of people that have really, really made a difference.
Well, again, this is just another one that we preach, and this is one of the things that I tried to sell on this program is our community services, the groups. I had Mr. Porter on back early when I first started this program, and there's just so many good things going on in our community, and all types of organizations. But it really is great on this specific day to hear about what y'all got going, and. At this time, what's your membership for the 100 Black Men as far as the membership? The membership right now is probably around about 30.
Really? Yeah, about 30 guys.
And folks out there, hey, this is a good, opportunity to become involved. And, this is such an important thing, especially, again, we have to promote our kids, and that's basically the support for kids and support for those out there who aren't in need. They need it. I mean, everybody. That's why you have scholarships, to help people. And so, other things that got on your mind? Is there? Do you have several, like a conference or things that you go to on a regular basis? Somebody that represents 100 black men in a national type thing.
Yes, they have a national convention every year. And they move it around all over the country. I went to it when it was in Miami. One time I went to it in Jackson, Mississippi, and I went to it when it was in Nashville. But they move around everywhere.
That's good.
They move around everywhere. And the president,
be representative of the whole country, and give everybody an opportunity to have.
Yeah, all the chapters come together, and they have 3 voting members that'll be present at that national convention. And I've actually been in the room where they actually put a rope down the middle of the room and say, hey, all people in good standings on the right side at one time, and everybody would start paying up and doing whatever they have to do, in order to participate. But, yeah, it's great. They have some of the best speakers in the world. That's where I heard Andrew Young and Jesse Jackson and so many great speakers. Al C. Haston, Congressman. I've really enjoyed going to the national conventions.
I can imagine.
They really, you get a chance to meet some of the
real leaders and real
leaders, people that are really
shakers.
Yeah, movers and shakers. They're giving back, just like we have here in Cleveland. We got a lot of people here in Cleveland that do.
Well, I think we have a very strong organization here in Cleveland. I think we have a pretty good relationship in Cleveland overall.
Oh yes.
And I think we're a very fortunate community. I think we have a lot of good things going, and community-wide. I'm talking about, coming together. We keep promoting that and talking about it here on this show, and about how important it is to come together and work together and be one, be a team. No I's out there. No I in team. It's we, us, our, and so those are key things. And but these are things that we need to be considering and working on, folks, every day. Now, if we all work together, it's going to be such a great community. We are good, and
Coach, there's no prettier sight than whenever our kids come together, and you see them working together.
Exactly.
You see them participating in activities, school activities, sports, together. If you're going to make a team out of them, the first thing you got to do is teach them what a team is.
Exactly.
And once they get that team concept in their mind, and then they realize that, hey, we're all partners in this thing together. Because that's what this whole movement is all about, is getting us to come together. We're not really that different.
Exactly.
At all.
All one blood.
That different.
All one blood. Okay?
Absolutely.
And I think that's definitely the attitude that we all have to take. And you're right. It's so good. I go to all these sports activities, and I see how the kids get along. I've just said, if they're given an opportunity to work together, they get along well. They love each other, and they express themselves to each other that way. And I think as adults, we have to do a better job of encouraging, and from the time they're young, as they're growing up, and all those kind of things. That's so key in trying to develop those relationships.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Tom, you got anything else on your mind?
No, I don't have anything. I just appreciate Vice Mayor Avery coming in and speaking to us on Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah.
And remember,
it's my honor.
His birthday today, and there again, that speech, it was 250,000 people there at that speech when he made that.
People realize sometimes how big
back
that
in
was.
that time, 60.
Well, the mall. When you think they talked about the mall up there between the White House or the Capitol and the Washington Monument and all that kind of stuff. So it's a big deal. And that was a big deal. I remember it well. Of course, it was in black and white.
Oh yeah, I remember.
That's back. We were one of the fortunate ones to have a TV at that time, which was black and white. And so anyway, but yes, Mr. Johnson, I appreciate you coming in. I always have a great deal of respect for you and love you, and appreciate everything that you do for our community and the support that you give to kids especially, but promoting the unity. And I think that this is what we need, what we have. And thank goodness, I think we really do. Everybody has improvement. Everybody has things we have to improve on, folks. But working together is the only way to go. button heads is never going to get you anywhere. Coming together, don't forget the word that I apologize and I'm sorry. And, don't be afraid to say those things. And for number one, don't always think that you're right in everything that you have. There's always people out there that have an opinion that's different than yours, but it means something, and you have to respect that.
Absolutely.
And we're not just talking about, one particular organization or place. We're talking about everything in general. And as Morgan Freeman, some people don't like Morgan Freeman, but I have always liked him.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that he said that sticks in my mind so much, and I hate to use the word race, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But someone asked him one day, about racism and all this kind of thing, and the comment he made just stuck in my. I'll never forget it. He said, "Until you stop calling me an African American, we'll always have race problems."
Oh, yeah.
In other words, I'm a person.
Mm-hmm.
And Lovie Smith was another one that I loved back when he first became the first, black head coach in the NFL.
Right.
The very first news conference they had when they introduced him, Lovie, he's the coach of the Chicago Bears. And the very first sports writer that asked the first question, and I've often said that sports writers and media people take a stupid pill every morning, and I think in this particular case that was it. The very first question to Lovie Smith was, how does it feel to be the first black coach in the NFL?
Yeah.
And Lovie's response was perfect. He looked at him and he said, "First of all, I want to thank you for telling me I'm black." And I thought, you look at me, I guess it's pretty obvious, those kind of things.
Yeah.
But the idea of the fact that until we can say, you, me, whatever, without a reference to race, color, whatever you want to call it. And anyway.
Whatever the standard is, whatever the requirements and qualifications are, it should fit everybody.
Exactly.
Regardless of race, color, or creed.
You got that right.
So we just got to learn that.
So we're...
You talk about public service, too, Vice Mayor Johnson. How long have you served on city council?
I've served on city council. It's 24 years in December.
24 years. I appreciate your service on that part, too.
Definitely.
I mean, as far as giving to the community.
Well, has always been someone you could talk to, felt comfortable about.
Yeah.
Never, always knew I'd get a straight answer if I went to him. And,
I appreciate that, but that's important.
But we do appreciate your efforts and everything that you do, buddy.
Well,
and
thank you for
your
having
lovely
me on.
wife also. I thought she was a doll from way back. And but I was honored to have your kids and honored to have you with us today.
Mm-hmm.
And folks, as we're kind of winding down here on Coach Schriver's morning show here on Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday day, Whoop FM 99.9. And so we appreciate you tuning in and listening to us. Did you ever get that music?
Never did. We got something wrong with the keyboard right now.
I'm going to have to find me another assistant here. He just can't get things going. I don't know what I'm going to do with him.
Well, keyboard won't work. I'm telling you, the keyboard will not work. I don't know what to do. The keyboard will not work.
I'll have to put
I got a short in the wire here.
I'll have to put my maintenance guy onto that. So
we had the question of the day. Also, nobody's called in on it. Also, 614-5553. I guess the coach is going to go ahead and give the answer to that.
I think I already did.
Did you?
Matter of fact, when I introduced it, I said something about the
I didn't catch that, Coach.
Motown. They were big in Motown.
Okay.
Folks, the label was Motown Records.
Motown Records.
And yes, boy, Motown put out, man, you talk about some artists. Back in the day, it seemed like every group that came out, Temptations and all the different groups that came out of there were just unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Had great music. That's back when you could understand the music. And so I've always been really interested in what's going on there. Let's see. Let's do another quote here from Dr. Martin Luther King. Mm-hmm. Nothing serious. Again, I just love them because they're short and to the point. The time is always right to do what is right. The time is always right to do what is right. And, there's so many good. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. Think about those, folks.
Absolutely.
Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?
Neighbor, you got one?
Yeah, I got one. And it says we must learn to live together as brothers, or we perish together as fools.
That's right. That's good. So many good ones, folks. So many good ones. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of a true education. Mm-hmm. And so we have a lot. Courage is the power of the mind to, what was the rest of it here? Overcome fear. Overcome fear. All right, folks, let's end the program here. It's 8 o'clock. Be safe out there. Remember, tomorrow, we're not sure what the weather's going to be like, but it's going to be supposedly a chance of snow tomorrow, so be safe. Tomorrow night's going to get cold, 10. They're calling for 10 tomorrow night, 26 tonight, I think, so it's not going to be as bad. But, folks, be safe out there. Tune in tomorrow, 7 to 8. Tomorrow we're going to do a little catch-up day. No special guests tomorrow, but we do have two. We have one on Thursday. We have Miss Karen Long from Memorial Hospital coming to talk about the Pink Gala down there. And also on Friday we got Mr. Sean Fairbanks coming in to talk about emergency services in the county and what's going on there. So everyone have a great day. We appreciate you and we love you. See you on the radio.
Hello, I'm the doctor.
And you're listening to WOOPLP, Cleveland, Tennessee. WOOP FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
Flex160.com. Cheaper than a payday loan. Flex160.com. Title loans got you bogged down? Flex160.com. A better money solution. Flex160.com. Flex160.com. Flex160.com.
No dealers allowed.
Jackson Catnapper, family owned and operated in Cleveland since 1933, offering the best with over 70 styles of recliners, sofas, electronic lift chairs, full living room packages. Call Mike now at 961-7239 because Jackson Catnapper now offers sales to the public
every Saturday. That's right, every Saturday.
From 8 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon. Or call Mike at 961-7239. Or go see him
every Saturday
at 1911 King Edward Avenue, just across from the main plant. Jackson Catnapper, family owned and operated.